So welcome everybody to the weekly presser with Coach Dr. Alvin Parker. And Coach will be talking about this past week's win, 31-28 over Fayetteville State, and our upcoming game this weekend with St. Augustine's University. And Coach, I'll ask you to make a statement as we start, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Appreciate you guys joining us today, and coming off another conference win. That's always a good thing. Another conference road win. So that's, like I said, that makes it even better. So the guys played well. Fought out of a hole early and was able to kind of do some good things in the fourth quarter to kind of seal that victory up for us. And I just like the way the guys responded. So that was something good to see this time of year. Again, playing early like this and playing a tough opponent like that on the road, I was happy to see that. So good. We got that one in the bag and made our way home, and we started right back on the track for St. Aug on Sunday. So that's where we kind of at right now.
All right, and we'll open up the floor for questions.
Hey, Coach, if I can ask, how do you think the guys are handling the success that comes with being nationally ranked, being undefeated, and maybe some things that even surprised you during this stretch?
It's not as tough as I thought it would be, honestly, because those guys, again, they look forward to coming to work every day and getting it done. In the midst of us kind of doing some game planning and stuff yesterday, those guys are all around trying to come around, and it was technically their day off. You know what I'm saying? So those guys are looking for the work, and they want to keep getting better. I think one thing about winning is, once you do it, you want to keep doing it, So I think those guys are just still chasing that, and they know we haven't won anything yet, So, to get to that end prize, they know they kind of got to keep chopping wood and kind of keep moving forward. And I think that's what they got their eyes on. So it's not been as hard, as I thought it would be.
Are they enjoying the fact that, I guess for right now, they have the biggest bullseye on their back in the conference to this point?
I think that was evident, this past weekend, the way that Fayetteville State came out against us, and, they played a good game against us. And I think we're gonna have to look forward to that every week, but it's to be expected, but again, Sean, we haven't won anything, and I think, everybody kind of give us a lot of credit thus far. And these guys like that, and they accept that, but they know it's still a bigger picture, but it's definitely something different, when people kind of look at you and look at you as one of these ranked teams and feel like, you're a big notch under their belt if they can get you. So we want to make sure that we just kind of keep it ready to go and keep doing what we've been doing, the whole time I've been here.
You talked a lot about the CIAA being, a line of scrimmage league, and you guys up front on the defensive line, you're, fourth in the country with 4.25 sacks per game. What do you consider the biggest keys to how you guys performing up front, getting that kind of pressure to help you guys have the type of success you've had to this point?
We're talented up front. We can go about maybe 8 to 10 guys deep, and a lot of those guys, come in and can do the same type of jobs. So I think it's our depth. That's the thing that got us so good up front. I think, we've already probably eclipsed, what we had last year in sacks already, to start this year, so those guys are doing a good job. First and foremost, they're doing a good job against the run, and we're forcing people to pass on us or try to pass on us, which is allowing those guys more opportunities to rush the passer. But, I think we're just so deep, and we can play a lot of different guys up there that have a lot of different things that they bring to the table, and with that, it makes you better, so we feel good about that group. We have more guys that play in that group probably than any other group on the team. So, we try to use that talent as much as we can.
Mentioned that, it's a group effort, but who maybe from an individual perspective has stood out the most to you from that group? I know Devin Sanders, Isaac Anderson have 3 sacks apiece to lead. Who's really impressed you the most from that group?
That's tough to say with it being so many guys, but those guys definitely had some good numbers across the board. But like I said, Sanders, Isaac Anderson, Ron Johnson, Amani Burton, who was a preseason all-conference guy for us, who does so much, might not get as recorded in the stat sheet, but he frees up because a lot of people go away from him sometime, and it frees it up for some of the other guys, and then we have other guys that can come in, some young guys. We have, Jockey Hilliard. We have another mainstay in the program, Xavier Hines, that does a lot of good things for us. So, Keenan Evans, it's a bunch of guys, Isaiah Dickens, that can kind of come in, and I can just read off a bunch of names out of that group that does a great job for us. So, we just want to make sure that those guys stay fresh and they stay hungry. And when they get in there, they make it easy for everybody else behind them.
And you have a new coach leading that group this year, and Coach Brown. What was he at as well as a leader of all that talent this year?
Oh, he's a great coach. I think he came into us in January, so he was kind of still able to put his flavor on everything and get things how he wanted it. So he's coached those guys extremely hard. And I allowed him to put his flavor and how he wanted it on those guys because he saw something special in the group early on. We added a couple guys a little bit later, but he's done a great job with those guys. Him and Coach Smith. We have two defensive line coach. One coach is our D tackle. That's Coach Brown focuses more on that group, and then Coach Smith focuses a little bit more on the defensive ends. So in terms of putting more guys with those groups to kind of coach that group up a little bit more than we have in the past has been something I think that's helped us be a little bit more successful as well.
Thank you.
Stephen, I see your hand up.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Good. How about you?
Doing well. Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you. Obviously, Jada, doing really well, and good chance he might go over 1,000 yards this game, with given St. Aug's defense. But he also has talked about his offensive line, and just looking through your offensive line, you got a good mix, it seems, of younger players, but also some veterans as well. Can you just talk a little bit more about who those guys are and what they bring and how they help him and help you guys do what you're doing in the run games?
Well, four of those guys are returning starters. So they played for us. They played for us last year. And one of those guys is a new guy, Darian Brown, who came in as a grad transfer for us. And then we have another good group right behind those guys. So those guys focus on being great. So I think any back that get back there, can have something, and put up some numbers behind those guys. But Jada does add a little bit more to the mix when he gets in. But Brian Gibson is our right tackle. He's playing extremely well. Justin Mees, our right guard. He's playing really well. We have an all-conference center at Mark Lawton. Our left guard, Larry Jones, is playing good. And again, like I said, the new guy to the group is Darian Bryant. But those guys are playing extremely well. So, I'm happy about the way they're playing. And I really like, just the tenacity that those guys have, and they want to be great. They want to protect the quarterback. They want to open up those holes for those backs. So, I'm really excited about that group.
Yeah. And you talked about Mr. Bryant. Can you talk a little bit more about him? I know he's an older guy. He's a former D1 guy. Just talk about what, how you guys brought him into the fold and what he's meant to the offensive line.
I think our coaches did a great job in the recruiting process. He was a transfer portal guy. So we were able to kind of get some talk to him, and we feel good enough about what we have going on here that if we can talk to you, you can hear our pitch and you can see what we do have going on here. We have a good chance at getting you. So he was a guy that was eager to come play for us. So he came in, he did a lot of good things for us early on, and I think he anchors down that left side for us. So you definitely know who he is when you walk in the stadium. He's probably the biggest guy on our team. But we feel good about the way what he brings to the to the pass game as well as the run game.
Well, Coach, I got a few questions. So one of the things I kind of noticed with the sheet right here was third down. So Fayetteville State's really good at third down. They're actually one of the best in the country at slowing down opposing offenses on third down. And it seems like they had sort of their way with you all on that. Can you talk a little bit about what you saw and what the team will have to improve going into St. Aug if they get to third down?
I think it's just a credit to, them guys being the 4-time Southern Division champs. They're a good ball club, and me and Coach Hayes have been going up against each other. It's almost like Ali and Frazier almost, like, we're going to keep battling every chance we get. Like I said, always from the time we were assistant coaches to now kind of going up against each other as head coaches, so it's just kind of a back and forth type of thing, I think, was happening on Saturday. So once we got our groove and we found it, we were able to convert a little bit more of those third downs and do some things like that, but those guys, hats off to Fayetteville. They played a good game, and I think a lot of people probably, were wondering, what type of game it would be, and I think it was the type of game that everybody kind of expected to be on our end. We knew it was going to come down to the fourth quarter. We knew we had to keep those guys playing, but those guys are the Southern Division champions. To somebody else says something different, from the past 4 years. So I feel, good with my ball club being able to go down there and knock those guys off.
And then, over history, Fayetteville State, when they start having to really lean on the pass, it doesn't really work very well for them. So this past weekend, they passed the ball, attempted 42 passes, and it gave your cornerback some opportunities. And one of them really cashed in on that on a pick six. So was that by design to try to take away the run? And talk a little bit about the corners and how they responded.
I think the last few weeks we've kind of put teams into a situation where they have to try to, throw the ball. Those guys are probably defended close to about 150 passes in the last 3 weeks. So, it's because they're doing so well against the run, so it wasn't necessarily by design. I guess the overall game plan is kind of to go in and stop a little bit of everything. But, those guys come out and struck on us early, and made a couple big plays in the passing game. So we had to kind of get that under wraps and do some things with that. But, once we got and started playing all game, we felt like we did pretty good against both. And anytime the ball get in the air that much and your D-line is doing a good job putting pressure back there on the quarterback, good things going to happen for those guys in the secondary. I think they said we had, probably about 2 sacks on Saturday. I've seen a few more, but not sure how that went. But those guys did a good job of getting pressure back there on the quarterback. So, anytime that happened, like I say, those guys in the secondary going to benefit from that.
And then this upcoming week, St. Augustine's, yes, they don't have a win, but they played a really, really close game against Bowie State until late in the game. So in this particular instance, what are you seeing out of them as they kind of go through the season, and what are you looking to focus on going into that game?
They have St. Aug have a bunch of good young kids down there that play hard for Coach Bowser. So we expecting nothing less. I know Coach Bowser, and I know what type of job he's doing down there. A few of those coaches down there on the staff, and all of those guys work hard. They recruit their tail off, and they get down there and those guys play hard for them. So we expecting one of those type of games, like somebody said earlier. We feel like we're going to get everybody's best at this point. And I expect nothing less, and it hasn't been any different in the years past, so we expecting St. Aug to kind of come in here and play a tough, hard game, and we got to be ready to play a tough, hard game with them, not necessarily playing for anything further than St. Aug. So, and our guys know that, and they know, we take this thing week by week, and they do a good job of taking this thing week by week. So we're just going to kind of take it up this week, and it's St. Aug this week. So, we're looking forward to that game.
All right. Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it.
Are there any other questions?
Hey, Jim, I have one, but it's not towards for the game. Well, it's kind of for the game. Has there been any talk about moving the game time up due to weather?
Because I haven't seen the latest weather forecast. We haven't had any talk.
We haven't had a lot of talk about it. I think it's going to be the same pretty much all day, as far as what we've already seen. So,
Okay.
We talked about 12 a little bit, but it wouldn't be any different than we've seen already. So, they haven't made a final decision on anything like that yet. So as of right now, it's still at 1.
Okay. I just heard from the school south of the river that they're moving theirs up to 1 o'clock. So that's why I just wanted to see if you guys had talked about if you were moving it up or moving it up a day. Just wanted to see, has there been any discussion about that?
Yeah, no discussion as of yet.
All right, sounds good.
Are there any other questions? The CIAA Players of the Week is scheduled to be released at 3:30 p.m. So there'll be a release coming out from VUU for that. If there's no more questions, we thank everybody for coming. The game time right now is Saturday at 1 p.m. And we're hoping the weather holds off for us. So thanks again. We'll be doing this again next Tuesday.